Welcome to the Queen of Green Global Financial Roadshow. My name is Jill Wallace-Hope and I am the founder and director of Queen of Green and the global leader for our programs in 70 countries to serve 200 million poor. Now, I've taken the top 20 questions and answers that I've received from around the world so that I can give you a very brief overview, and then you can download the prospectus if you wish to invest. I'm taking the company public on the Frankfurt Stock Exchange, and the choice for that was that Frankfurt offers transparency, fixed fees, and it's very efficient. Everything that we have done in terms of preparing for the IPO has been easy to handle, and the people have been very helpful. I have bought a special vehicle, which is Queen of Green PLC, and that is based in London. And that is the company where all our assets, our intellectual property, brand names, cooperative structure, global supply chain, all our green technologists, manufacturers, stakeholders, and all our products and services under the Queen of Green brand are located. And so that is the company that you will be investing in. Now, it was very important for me that both my green investors, my small investors, could invest in the IPO, and the large institutional funds as well. So we created two levels of stock. A stock is for $10 to $2,500 investment, so that the green investors, the consumers, can invest in the IPO. For the institutional funds, there is a B stock, which is anything from 500 million to 50 billion. And we're very happy to have the government of China investing at the 50 billion level. And we expect to be about 7 times oversubscribed. Now, we decided to self-underwrite because 3 main reasons. One, we have paid off the development costs as we have done the work over 32 years. So there's very little outstanding costs to suppliers that we have to do. So we have no debt that we have to raise a chunk of money to pay that off. Obviously, our investors that have been with us for years and years will want to sell their stock or to at least take some profits. And so second reason was that our investors, which are just over 200 people and companies, our longest investor has been with me for 30 years. So these are whole life people who wanted to see the company successful and wanted to see the work implemented. So I'm very grateful to them and very happy to have them as investors. The third reason was that when I studied the LinkedIn IPO and Facebook IPO, the investment bankers not only made money on the success, but they also, in effect, bet on shorting the company. So as the stock price increases, they made money, and then as the stock price decreased, they made money as well. So they made 2 amounts of money. It's called a naked short, and yet they made money for the company being successful, and they made money for the company failing. Now, I think there's something ethically wrong about that, and I want people to make money from Queen of Green because we are successful and profitable and fulfilling our mission, and that is the most important thing. So with our IPO, you will not be able to naked short us. You will only be able to invest in the company, and as we provide the dividends and as the share price increases and the value of the company increases, then you will make more profit. Now, in terms of valuation, the pre-IPO valuation is 75 billion. And I've taken a very conservative multiple of 10 times. And that's because I think that some of the Silicon Valley IPOs currently are overpriced. And as one of the big venture capital funds said, they had not invested anything in the last quarter because the valuations were too high. So I have followed the lead from Apple, who's very successful, and their stock is priced at a 10 times multiple. So because we are raising 150 billion to fund the programs, we have agreed a fixed margin on that, which is 5%. That 5% has to pay all of our management costs, all of our team, our technology, our infrastructure, all of the operations costs. And because we're working on a large scale, then that obviously is achievable. So on the basis of a 5% profit, that then gives 7.5 billion profit from the whole programs, and a multiple of that times 10 is 75 billion. Now, because we're doing something unique in the world, and literally 1 in 7 billion people now, the appreciation of the stock will be high over a long period of time, simply because as we deliver the programs to the different countries and to the different people, more customers come to us. More governments are coming to us now, approaching us to handle their work. Now, for the last 15 years, people have questioned why I have focused on scale and speed. Why have I been looking at the invisible things in the systems and processes? And basically, through my experience in 32 years over 40 countries, those are the things that are missing, right? People can understand the houses, the property market, the commercial buildings, the hotel sector, because there is a physical element to it. But in the knowledge economy, it is the power of knowledge and the value of knowledge that is driving the market. So we have concentrated on how do you take a large-scale problem like 1 billion people in the world living on $1 a day or less. How do you take a problem like 1.4 billion people with no electricity? And how do you create sustainable solutions for this market? Now, the bottom of the pyramid market is currently worth 365 billion a year. With the Queen of Green IPO at 150 billion, then of course that will increase the market value to over 500 billion. But there is a lot of growth potential. And people ask me, why do I want to invest in orphans, widows and youth? People that live on $1 a day or less. And I say quite obviously, if you can live on $1 a day or less, you are a better person than me. You are adaptable, you're flexible, you're resourceful, you're creative, you're imaginative. And so, of course, I would want to invest in them. Now, yes, most people invest in, as I said, property, industrial complexes, roads, buildings, etc. And so, because I have developed this social development program to invest in our human assets, because quite honestly, if we don't have educated, healthy human assets, they cannot play any role in their economy. They can't even play a role in their family. So to me, investing in the human assets is much more important and much more critical than investing in the physical assets, which those physical assets are there to serve the people. So that is a big shift, but that is part of the knowledge economy shift as well. Now, again, other people have said, at this time people have no money. But that's just not true. There's $60 trillion of cash that is parked. There was a recent article in Germany showing that pension funds, insurance funds, do not have investment opportunities. They're only making 1.2% interest on their money, and in reality, after their operational costs and their fees, that means that they're actually making a loss, not a profit. So we have been very successful in speaking to fund managers. We have sovereign wealth funds, forex funds, hedge funds, funds of funds, pension funds, insurance funds, family wealth funds, faith-based funds, Islamic funds, people who are managing huge amounts of money that has been parked during the recession and now must move into the market. as Deepak Chopra will tell you in 7 Spiritual Laws of Success, money is energy. It is currency. Currency has to flow. The reason that the economy is as it is now is because the cash isn't flowing. So the Queen of Green IPO has held out for being a large-scale IPO, in fact the biggest IPO in the world for 2012, because A, we're serving a market that is huge, 1 billion people across the world, and B, there is plenty of cash to invest. There's no shortage of cash at all. So we need to get over this attitude that, there is no cash. Even a small statistic, like at the Jubilee in the UK, people spent £743 million on memorabilia. Now that's fantastic. That Jubilee has created almost £1 billion worth of expenditure of products and services for the economy this year. Now, I have taken great concern about people trying to sell austerity as an option. Trying to sell austerity is like trying to sell a car that just has a reverse gear. No one wants to drive backwards all the time, and no one wants to buy it. It is not human nature to be austere. It is human nature to be prosperous, to grow, to achieve, to learn, to be part of the global economy. And this is why I'm very happy that the Queen of Green is actually empowering 200 million people to become part of the global economy, but not in a toxic way, not in a polluting way, but in a very green and sustainable way. So the programs we have in 70 countries will be providing green technologies. It will be providing green communities in Africa and India, and it will be providing green micro-enterprises to the 100 million unemployed youth across the Middle East. So from the hub in UAE, all the technologies will come in, the products and services will go into the different countries, to the community groups, to the people at grassroots level. And this is what is very different about the global supply chain. We've seen in India where the government have invested huge amounts of money in poverty alleviation, yet the money never gets to the poor. 85% of that money is taken by national, regional and local governments, and the poor get hardly anything. Well, we need a new model, and this new model is what Queen of Green is implementing. We're taking the money from the very, very rich and going straight down and investing it at grassroots level with the communities, but in a way that is organized. We're not giving them what they already have. They have talent, they have resourcefulness, they have laborers, they have land, they have lots of facilities. But what they don't have is the materials, the knowledge, the technology, and the products to be able to do that for themselves. So that is what we have organized in the global supply chain. For the green communities, there's 8 stages. So all the products and technologies are inside 20-foot containers, and as each community group prepares their land and is ready to implement, they'll receive the next set of containers. So it keeps the community group focused on achieving the result, collaborating with local people, collaborating with international talent. For instance, for Africa, I'm sending 20,000 veterans from America who served in Afghanistan and Iraq and now are jobless and in some cases homeless. And I'm sending them to Africa, 20 for each community, to work with 200 local labourers to build the foundations for the Queen of Green communities. So that way we're using the talent and the knowledge of the international community of the G20, and we're transferring that to the G192 so that these local communities can be empowered to take care of themselves. So if you're investing in the Queen of Green IPO, not only do you receive a dividend, that's 5% per annum paid in quarterly dividends, but you also get the appreciation of the stock growth, And if you're a Fortune 500 or a Global 1000 company, you also get the opportunity to comply with your own corporate social responsibility policy. And in the majority of cases, many companies haven't even achieved 10-15% of that goal. So for any company coming from behind and wanting to catch up in the global economy, this is fantastic. Now, the Islamic Funds from Singapore, from Malaysia, Indonesia, Qatar, UAE and Oman, and Egypt, they are a fantastic source of investment, because for the Muslim community, this is putting the teachings of the Holy Quran, which has a fantastic environmental policy, and the teachings from the Hadith on orphans and widows into practice. Now, the majority of the world's poor are Muslims, and twice in the history of Islam, they have taken care of all the orphans and widows, but then people get focused on other things and ignore that. So this time, the Muslims, the Christians, the Catholics, the Buddhists, all the different faiths are working together, and we have fantastic interfaith groups across the world who are mobilizing their resources as well as their funds. For students and children, they can volunteer on any of the programs. In UAE, we're transferring all the knowledge about how the buildings can convert from energy consumers to energy generators, and we're transferring that knowledge to the children and the students because they want to be part of leading the green economy. Now, I'm very thankful to all the people that have helped to get to this stage. We have overcome thousands and thousands of obstacles, people blocking, people trying to stop the progress of the projects, but these people have failed because we have the love of 200 million poor who want to improve their quality of life. We have the respect and admiration of over 15,000 people in the financial and the professional community, and we have about 20 haters. So I think that goes with the territory, really. So I'm very happy with all the love and all the care that I have received, for all the support from people all around the world, whether they contributed a meal or whether they contributed $1 billion. It doesn't matter. What matters is that now in the knowledge economy, we can implement this foreign empowerment policy, this convergence of foreign policy, of poverty alleviation, economic stimulus, and mass collaboration. Governments cannot do things to the poor. They cannot do things for the poor. The new model is that the international public-private partnerships do things with the poor to transfer the knowledge and technology and capital so that they can join the global economy, make a difference to their communities, make a difference to their countries and to their own economies, and do it in a green and sustainable way. So under this video, there is the link for the prospectus. We've already had over 1,200 downloads from funds across the world, and I invite you to download the Queen of Green prospectus, fill in the forms, whether you are a small investor or whether you're an institutional fund, and submit it with your check to the address that is in the prospectus. And we look forward to having a fantastic relationship with our investors, making 200 million people empowered across the world and turning green into gold. Thank you from Jill Wallace Hope and from Queen of Green.